It's Monday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Morayo Afolabi Brand. As always, I never do this alone. I have the ladies of Your View. Hello.
Hi.
We're three today because we're observing the social distancing that has been directed by the government. We need to ensure that we have at least quite a few steps away from each other. So the four ladies are not here today, just three ladies to give some space. How are you doing, Mariam?
I'm fine. A bit apprehensive, but hopeful. I'm apprehensive because I just feel that not many Nigerians are aware of how serious the situation is or could be if we do not practice all that the government is telling us to do with this, social distancing. And it's scary that the numbers every day, keep increasing. And to think that these people who come in some of them may have refused to self-isolate for at least for a period of 14 days and just walking around, Someone was making fun that we've been screaming and shouting, oh, who's talking to the market women? Who's talking to these women and people were sitting there in their homes quietly, and then you traveling around the world, you came and you brought this to them. Right. And the ones that should know better are not self-isolating.
There have been quite a few concerns. I mean, it's simple. That's why I want to speak to a few government officials to know what's going on. But let me come to you, Nyma. How are you doing?
I'm good. I must say, it's a season of seriousness. Very disappointing is the fact that, the elites, so-called, are the ones who think this is a joke. I was speaking to some people over the weekend, and some people still don't have an idea what it is. We have heads of states and presidents of countries falling prey to this, and it's that serious. But then you still keep hearing people saying, we're Africans. We cannot survive under our heat. Things like,
Yes, where did they get all those things from?
I just want to hope that that's true. But then we don't want to test it. Please, let's not test it.
Yeah.
Let's just comply and be fine. I had to go shopping yesterday, emergency, but it was really, I was so reluctant to go. And my neighbor had to say, we need to stock up. We need, this might be serious. Yeah. She is not educated. She was just listening to the Yoruba radio and was saying, we need to stock up. And that was when we went at 3, and everything had been bought. We went to an empty market.
Right. Interestingly, I went to my mother's house yesterday, and I went there to go and try to sensitize her, educate her. You're over 70, try to make sure people don't come near you. And as I entered, the woman had a bucket of water to wash your hands with soap and sanitizer at the gate.
At the entrance. Good.
Now, after I entered, her house started following me with this bleach. As I sat down on the chair, as I stood up, the auntie sprayed the bleach on the chair and cleaned it. Auntie, take it easy now. It's not this difficult. But I was really surprised that my mother was actually I was impressed, actually, more impressed. She was actually taking cautionary measures to ensure that everybody coming to our house was properly sanitized. So I think we need to take steps. I mean, I'm taking a cue from her. I'm asking her to do exactly what she did in her house, in my house. So as you're entering your house, you should have some kind of bucket or pail where people can actually wash their hands before entering your house. It's extremely important. But we'll talk more about Covid-19 in a moment. But first, that's what our president called it, Covid-19.
And we should also, you know your neighbors that are less. Thank you, Mama Ada, for my ofaku yesterday. Sent me a plate of ofaku. Igbos will know this is our palm oil soup for rice. And I had a nice meal last night because of that. So thank you. And
anyway, so we're trying to
reach out to your neighbors as much as you can help.
Yeah, so we're trying to get across to the deputy governor. I think he's been able to make contact with us. We'll try to speak to him to know exactly what the update is exactly, especially in Lagos State. We're going to go on a break. But first, we're going to go through the front pages of the newspaper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Okay, well, let's start very quickly with The Nation. COVID-19. Cases rise to 30 in Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan. Lagos Kwara asks civil servants to work from home. Article Son tests positive. CBN stops dollar sales to NNPC. Alleged 570 million naira fraud. Ex-head of service Oyoita arrested. Foreign portfolio flight hits stock market. Disco chief power sector lacks alignment. Nabina battles Issa Onilu for APC National Working Committee post. Okay, let's talk very quickly. Oh, priest dies during mass in Rivers. Who has that story?
I took the story. So, Reverend Father Cyprian Koro, during Mass on Sunday at St. Helen's Catholic Church in Port Harcourt, while during Mass, collapsed and was rushed to the hospital, but was pronounced dead at the time he got to the hospital. There's no history, or there's no report on what may have caused the collapse. So that's just a short and sad story.
And former head of service was arrested yesterday.
Yeah, so EFCC has decided to had picked up former head of service, or Mrs. Oyoita, based on the allegations of corruption, the 570 million naira fraud. She, I think, remember the charges against her: fictitious duty allowances, duty to allowances, Esther codes, conference fees, and also while EFCC was investigating her, they found some monies in her AIDS account, about 548 million in one account and 51.9 million in another account. So these are all the charges that were brought against
along with
them.
10 others have been charged.
Okay.
And 2 of them are AIDS.
Let's move on now to the Punch. COVID-19 cases hit 31. Lagos Kwara declare workers' holiday. Man arrested for killing wife's suspected lover with scissors. Oshomole Obaseki working towards peace, says governor's aide. Bride collapses as groom leaves church during wedding vows. Lagos orders scavengers to vacate dumps. 3 billion naira scam. FG arraigns ex-HOS. We talked about that already. Nigeria's consumed 2.64 trillion petrol in 13 months. Mechanized agric begins in 632 local governments in September. Who has a human interest story?
This man was arrested in Ogun State around the Besa area for stabbing with the scissors. He stabbed his wife's suspected lover, who he had threatened in the past to stop dating his wife. Stabbed him several times in the eye, in the chest, and all till the person was dead. And the moment he found out the person was dead, then he tried to run, but he was immediately arrested by the police command in Ogun State. The story for me is very annoying in the sense that this person just, was obviously not in his right senses, thought, he could get away with threatening him. He had confronted him, and the man was like, he said, after I warned you, and then he went stabbing him. I don't know how people think that these are the ways to resolve simple issues like this. So if he's dating your wife, you either resolve it by talking to your wife, or you talk to him, or better still, break up with them and give them a chance for their love to grow.
Yeah, there was
other one.
Yes, there was one other story in, well, this happened.
Bride?
This happened in Plateau State, in Jos. So this bride and groom, on their wedding day, can you hear me? They asked the man in front of the pastor. Everybody's there, dressed up and everything. Oga, will you take this woman as your wife? He said no. Pastor now asked again. Maybe he did not hear me well. He said, will you take? He said no. He said, Oga, I heard you the first time. I understand English very well. But you see, I planned for her 10 years. I planned that I would embarrass her on our wedding day. And he walked out on her.
That's
bride collapse. 10 whole years. They said they've been dating 12 years. And nobody can say that they had any. The best man was like, I'm so close to this man. If he had any issues, he would have discussed with me. And the girl is also like a sister, 12 years. He's been piling whatever he'd been piling.
For real.
Wasted her time. Wasted his time.
It's good that he walked away, because that kind of man can kill you.
Yes.
He can definitely kill you. Thank you. Let me carry himself go. Oshomole and Obaseki finally, according to the governor's aide, saying that they are working towards peace. That would be good news for APC, because that's the rift between both parties. That's the National Working Committee chairman, that's Oshomole, and the governor of Edo has been on for a while, and it has actually caused lots of rift in the party. Let's move very quickly now to Vanguard. Coronavirus, Lagos State government shuts down civil service for 2 weeks. NBA to judiciary, limits number of persons admitting into court. Fear in Ogun community over invasion of herdsmen. FIRS nets 338 billion naira in January. Let's talk about COVID-19 and the fact the steps Lagos State government has taken so far. They've stopped civil servants between the level 1 to 12 from coming to office, and they've insisted that everybody maintain that social distances in. And even I was interested to find out that the governor was actually telling somebody to take a picture of the party she went to. Are you sure that you are social distant? You are only more than 20.
I love the fact that the task force, the RRS team, led enforcement across the state over the weekend. I'm even shocked that some religious bodies, churches and mosques, did not comply with this stay-home order. And I would like to beg the Lagos State that one of the things that scares us the most is the level of waste and waste collection and abandonment of waste along our roads and our communities. If we're fighting this, we need a clean and hygienic environment to do it. I just like that, they add something.
All right, I'm told now that we have the Deputy Governor on the phone. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning. I'm here.
Good to have you on the show. We have so many questions for you this morning concerning the updates on the COVID-19, especially in Lagos State. The first question so far, we know that there are 22 cases in Lagos. How are you tracking the remainder people that are on those flights, the British Airways, Lufthansa, and the Turkish Airlines? What measures have your government taken so far to track those people that are on the flight?
Well, I mean, basically, like we said before, every plane that lands in Lagos or anywhere has a manifest. People are supposed to fill a form. So what has happened is we have a team of people that, so that calls them, encourage them to do self-isolation. But in a case where we have any particular person that tests positive, then we have to go and test everybody on that flight, provided they are in Lagos. Remember, some of them might have moved to other states and so on. For the ones that we're able to track in Lagos, we will be able to then do the test and determine if they are positive or negative. Now, what even World Health Organization has advised now is because of the state of affairs now, people should self-isolate. It's about responsibility of individuals now and for them to care about themselves and the community. Okay. Self-isolate for 14 days. If you now have the symptoms, headache, running nose, but fever, and so on and so forth, then call the number 08000 Corona, and then you'll be tested. If you test positive, then you'll be isolated.
Right. Let me get a few more questions in for you.
So that's what we are doing right now in terms of tracking.
All right, 1 second, sir. Go ahead, Mariam.
Okay, so we have, I understand that we're meant to self-isolate, but we know, even when the government also said that churches shouldn't have people congregate in churches and mosques, people do not listen to, they would not take it into their hands to follow what the guidelines. How else? I know that they've put police yesterday to chase some people out of churches, but what else can we do to ensure that these people who have refused to self-isolate, we need to find a way to send a message to other Nigerians. What is Lagos State doing in that regard? To make sure that if you do not do it and you put others at risk, what do we do to them so that someone else would learn from that?
Well, I mean, you know that we've always said this, you cannot legislate common sense. Right. So, but one of the things that we are doing is to make sure, and you've seen cases even in Abuja where people were actually arrested because they tested positive. So basically, as long as we are able to track them, remember the case of somebody that wanted to run away that the CDA airport tracked. His passport was taken away. He wanted to go to the airport and run away. His passport was taken away and he was, put into isolation. So the issue is that if people do not follow the guidelines and they are constituting a threat to the society, of course, it is the responsibility of government to now take them in and protect them and protect the society. So that's been done. But the good thing, as far as we know now, is that people are responding. Those that test positive are coming in, and we are also ramping up our ability in case that this thing escalates.
All right, let me get in a few more questions. Go ahead.
This morning I read that Lagos State has ordered scavengers to leave dump sites and to stop scavenging recyclable materials. What exactly are we doing to make sure that some areas where collection is still a problem, we are dealing with that? Because part of how to deal with this is to have a regulated way of taking care of your waste.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that. You are saying you are talking
waste
about
collection,
waste?
sir. Waste collection in areas not yet covered, yes, sir.
Well, so it's the same template. The PSC are still working. We are just talking more to people in the market and everywhere to say cleanliness is important. And so the PSC are still working and they are designated in various areas. So we are asking. Fortunately, the Loma just brought in some of their trucks that was ordered. So they are now in country. So they can ramp up. So the question really is that everybody just pack it well. That's the
okay,
thing. Don't let us live naked waste.
Right.
And it doesn't matter how well Loma clears this waste. Right. They will not come into anybody's kitchen. So what we are saying is, in your kitchen, in your house,
Do it well.
Don't leave naked waste.
Okay.
Put them in a nylon.
My
pack them
concern
well,
is
and
the-
put them outside. So
my
if
concern
they
is-
are well kept, Loma will come and pick them up. So it is
right.
on all.
Okay, point taken, sir. I need to throw this question concerning those who are refusing to come forward. For example, especially for those who came back with that flight. Some of them have said that they don't want to go to that Yaba place. Now, what kind of measures are you taking to partner with hospitals, local hospitals, within certain regions? So maybe in the Ibilia regions, for example, you have certain hospitals where they have those test kits. So if you don't want to go to Yaba, you can actually go to the hospital to get tested, and once you're confirmed, they can then take you to Yaba if you need to. So because people are scared to come forward, saying they don't want to go to that place in Yaba. Are you working with other hospitals?
So those people, what is their fear? If you CNN some few days ago, they showed it, they praised us. So if outsiders are saying, look, you have a very good facility, so what is the fear?
The fear, sir. The fear, sir.
Yes,
Some they're scared that we don't have enough test kits. They are fearing that we don't have ventilators. That we might not have enough ventilators for them to help their breathing.
The NCDC, Morayo, let me ask you this question.
Well, no, that can't be a reason.
The NCDC...
So do they have ventilator in their house? So I mean, that can, so the essence, first of all, is to test. And you know that the symptoms are different from different people.
Right.
So one of the things is if you test and then the person is positive, is taking it. It depends on what now manifests. Is it fever? Is it cough? So they will start to rehydrate and treat them appropriately. So, you know, the essence of going to Yaba, and we must encourage it, is because you are able to accumulate caregiver in one place instead of running all over. The logistics of running all over the place may be tough. However, if there are escalations, we have identified other areas so that everybody don't have to go to one particular place. We pray that it doesn't escalate, but if it does, we have actually looked at locations, but we don't need to start broadcasting. We have looked at locations across the village, like you said.
Let me just throw one final question.
That we can do that. However, what is important is that you must be able to test it. And it's not every lab that can test you. So you still have to be tested. And then where people now go for their isolation now depends on where they live and so on and so on.
One final question for you, sir.
We are escalating.
One final question.
What reassurance can you give Lagosians on the response? Because the NCDC was called over the weekend by a media house, and the response was not encouraging. In fact, they admitted on the phone not to have enough test kits to go around, and you know that not to be able to respond.
I can't talk about NCDC. That's national. I can only talk about the number to call for if you want Lagos State. If it's a resident of Lagos State, it's 08,000 corona. It's straightforward. So the challenge we have today is that people are calling to say, hey, well, I have boys. It's not for boys. It's for all these symptoms that we've spoken about. So 80% of the calls coming in has nothing to do with this virus. So that's the challenge we have. So help us tell people, if you have the symptoms, especially if you just traveled out of back to the country, and then you have malaria, you have running nose, you have headache, persistent, you are coughing, that's when to call the number. Don't call the number because you eat your leg on a stone or something. So the challenge is not for, if you call the 08,000 corona, the Lagos State will probably, I can't talk about the NCDC because I don't know how they do operate their own system.
Thank you so much. We'll be calling you throughout this week because obviously this is a situation where we need continuous update. But thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning. Up next, we're going to engage the Commissioner for Education in Lagos State because we're told that today kids are staying home. They close the public and private schools. And we'll find out why. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So over the week, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, announced the closure of public and private schools in Lagos State, which will take effect from today. On this segment, we have with us the Commissioner for Education, Honorable Folashade Adefisayo, to discuss the effect of this on the state education system and the makeshift plan they have for our children. Welcome to the show, madam.
Thank you very much for having me.
You can call us on 070-8066-8014. You can also tweet us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourVTVC so we can read your tweets. So it's no news that the kids are home today. Obviously, what plans does your government have to ensure that learning goes on? Because, I mean, it knew that a lot of kids had to leave school and there were exams coming up pretty soon. So what are your plans to ensure that learning continues?
Well, in our schools, in the public school system, the first thing we did was that they went home with a lot of homework. So hopefully they have a lot of work to do. They have a lot of reading to do. That's number one. And number two, we are trying to work, we are working with radio stations so that we can start broadcasting classes, especially for the exam class. We hope to start by Wednesday. As I'm sitting here, there's a group working on the material. It's not something that you just go on and start and say, oh, start on Monday. You know, so we are hoping, well, I've given them a very hard task to start on Wednesday. So they have just today and tomorrow. So we spent the whole weekend preparing lesson plans and so on, and they're still working on these, especially for the exam class. We wanted to hit them first so that then we'll open it up to other classes. We also are planning to have panel discussions. With the panel discussions, we'll have a group of teachers, maybe the way we are sitting, the English teacher, maths teacher, Yoruba teacher, and so on, taking questions from the students. That's one of the things that we want to do.
Okay.
But we also have other plans.
Okay.
But,
you mentioned the exam class. Are these the kids that are supposed to be writing like the common entrance examinations, or are we talking about the exams that they were meant to write?
It's not, it's WAEC basically.
Yeah.
WAEC
So
and
WAEC
the junior WAEC, which
Okay.
is Beke.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
my question now is, would it be fair to now to test them in the period where they've been home and really there's not that one-on-one relationship in the classroom with the teacher, just hoping that they're listening to the broadcast, hoping that they are following, and then when, by God's grace, this ends and then it's exam period, then we have them write these exams?
Well, first of all, I'll say that WAEC has postponed the exam. So for sure, they're not going to write it imminently. But I don't think for a serious student that the last week or two before WAEC is when you start studying. I think they should have been prepared. WAEC should have started on Friday. This Friday. So I think by this time, all you can do with any student is revision, and so they should really be almost ready for the exam.
I must commend you, Ma, because a friend of mine is a teacher and she's with the adult literacy education. She's already at home. In fact, she wasn't allowed to go in on Friday. I want to know whether there's a way you partner with parents, because, you know, Lagos State launched a tab as well, so I know they're online. Is there a possibility of sending education materials ahead to parents' emails so that they can also be able to help their kids while they're at home now with the children?
Well, what we found is with majority of our students, their parents actually are on telephone rather than on internet. So we've collected telephone numbers. One of the things we did all day Friday was collecting the telephone numbers of parents so that we can communicate with them, even via WhatsApp if possible. But as for the tab, the tab really, there are two categories. Let's say the primary schools, the teachers all have tabs. Well, 30% of our schools, the teachers have tabs with which they teach the children. And so they'll keep on working on their tabs and so on. But for the secondary school, we're trying to work, we're working with an organization that has downloaded the Nigerian curriculum on it. I can't call it a tab. Device. It's more a device, a small tab, a very small tab. The Nigerian curriculum, including tests and so on. And so we are working with them as well. And we are actually looking for partners who support us by donating these devices to our children. When they come and pick up the tab, I think we have quite a substantial number ready, and we are ready to start giving out the tabs from later this week. But when they come and pick up the tab, they're going to come with their parents. So because the parents are going to sign for the tabs.
Right.
Because we want, not just because we don't want them to spoil the tabs, but because we want the parents to be involved. You're all at home now. So what more can you do but to work with your children to support them in their learning?
Okay, but if we go back to those who attend public schools, many of them sometimes are house helps, they're people who have guardians or caregivers, and many of them almost act oblivious to what's going on in their school. Like, you know what, I don't care, I'm focused on my kids. What can we say to them now? Because obviously, things are changing. How involved can they get, or how would you like them to be involved going forward in their wards education?
Obviously, even if a child is a house help in your house, first of all, it's against the Child Rights Act. You shouldn't do that. If you have a ward in your house who goes to school, you should care about that person. We cannot force anybody to care for someone. But I think if you have taken on the responsibility of being in charge of a child's life, then you should be as involved as you possibly can be.
So you expect that parent, that caregiver,
Yes.
to go, that guardian, to go ahead with that child to school to pick up the tabs. That's what you're saying?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And then support them in their learning. How far have you gone? Have you done any tests? What have you done today? These are simple questions you can ask a child.
Well, can you confirm whether before school closed on Friday, before children were told to stay back, whether they were properly sensitized on what we're dealing with? Because I had been educating my daughter only for her to ask me on Saturday, is the coronavirus starting on Monday? And I was like, so I've been misinforming her. Were they properly sensitized, you know, to know exactly what we're dealing with?
Oh, yes. I mean, I had gone around schools. I had taken assembly in 1 or 2 schools, telling them what to do. And in all our schools, we had water and soap placed outside.
Okay.
So I mean, you do it in a fun way. With children, you don't do things in a rigid, hard way. You make it look like, oh, it's fun to wash your hands. It's good to wash your hands and so on. And I went around telling them the symptoms and telling them what to do if they feel the symptoms coming on.
You know, most of the parents with public school children are, people would say maybe they work in informal sector, like we have market women. So their parents, and then usually when they close from school, they join their parents in these areas. And the last time I went past through Obalende Market, there were parents there, there were kids with them. And I really wonder, I know that sometimes we teach our children so that they teach our parents. I don't know if there's a way if it's really in your department that yes, that we find a way to monitor how we teach the children and how it affects the parents, so that it affects everyone in the States. Because if you teach the children to wash their hands and then they have to go with their parents to the market, I don't know. I just feel like, you know.
So generally, I think we also need to sensitize the parents also.
Yeah. Remember what the Deputy Governor said, Dr. Hamzat? He said, look, we are sensitizing everybody. So people are good. There are so many flyers flying around, and we're giving people flyers, informing them about what to do. So that's what and you know, children, they will always say, but mommy, they said we should wash our hands.
Right. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. We still have the Honorable Commissioner for Education of Lagos State. I got some unconfirmed reports yesterday or 2 days ago that some private schools are trying to get in their day students to come to boarding house so they can quarantine them, and, you know, you're safe. That the perception is that the boarding house is safe and they're going to ensure that they're okay. So they are trying to get parents to bring the kids over. Now, I don't know if that's appropriate. I'd like you to talk to that. So how would you react to private schools taking that initiative to bring the day students to their boarding houses?
That's not appropriate. I got some of those reports, and I spoke to some of the school owners as well, and said, look, because some of the reports were like, if people are doing this, then maybe all of us should just do the same thing. No. Let us obey this present rule. Send the children home to their parents. At home, usually the population is lower. There's nothing you can do about young people in school. They will always play together. They will always touch each other. You can't control that. all the time. And so it's inappropriate. We actually have a group of people, even as I speak now, going around. Yesterday, they had to shut down 1 or 2 schools that were trying to rush their exams.
I have a call from BC. Good morning, BC. Are you there?
Good morning, Morayo.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, House. Good morning, ladies. Honestly, I really appreciate the work of Lagos State government. I'm really impressed with what we are seeing here from America. But the problem we are having is from the president himself. We want him to speak for the people. We want him to speak to the people. We want him to assure the people. We want him to encourage the people. We voted for him, not the minister. We voted for him, not the senator. We want him to speak to people, to encourage the people. I can't count how many times presidents in America are talking to us concerning this case.
Adebisi,
we want him to speak.
Adebisi, were you not reassured by his speech yesterday?
Honestly, to me personally, I'm not satisfied. Honestly, we want to see the word of encouragement from him.
Don't you
think it's impractical right now? We should focus on how to.
Adebisi. I don't want us to speak for the governor, for the president, but the point that Nigerians do want the president to speak to them, because we've seen other nations, other governors, even within Nigeria speaking and are reassuring Nigerians. So I don't think it's too much to ask. However, the presidency also have their own style, so we'll continue to wait for them to take steps towards this. Now, going back to education. Go ahead.
Yes. So I know that Lagos State must have sat down at the round table to come up with a plan. And I'm wondering what would be the long-term plan for students. Let's just say, because we had the deputy governor say, we should also prepare for, what may happen if it becomes really widespread. What do you think? Did you people discuss that education-wise?
Oh, yes. We know that giving homework can only last for some time. And normally children will be bored after a while. So we'll have to find ways to engage them, to keep on engaging them. Because I'm especially very worried about the learning slide that could occur, especially between public school children, low-cost school children, and the more affluent families. And so we've got to find ways to continuously engage them. And that's why we're trying to talk to radio stations. And I'd really like to encourage them to please give us free slots where this is an emergency situation, so that we can at least keep talking to them. And that's why we want a panel as well. So it's not just the teachers dishing out new learning, but the students also calling in. So that, and I think honestly this will lead to a change in habits. And if we are able to get these devices into the hands of all our students, they'll have the Nigerian curriculum in their hands. They'll be able to send they'll be able to test themselves. There's timing. You can test yourself, send your work to your teacher, engage with your teacher, and I'm hoping that will also.
Let me take this call from Osho. I'll come to you, Nyma. Osho, are you there?
Hello, I'm here.
Thanks for calling. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, my concern, as much as I appreciate what the Lagos State government is doing, my concern is about the market. Please, I'm begging, they should do more. You can hardly control what is going on in the market. It's very hard. I go to the market almost every day. And what is happening in our market, except you are dead, your view can take a day, maybe after your program today, try and go to 2 or 3 markets. See what is happening there.
We have those reports.
Control, body contact, anything about market.
Thank you very much,
the
Osho.
Government should please.
We have those reports, and definitely that's why this entire week we'll be taking our cameras out, because when we talk to government, we need to also show evidence of what we're saying. So we will go out there and try to continually engage our government to find out what they're doing to ensure that people are actually complying. Yes, Nyma.
So, but the fact that the children are constantly being sent education materials reassures whatever fear parents have concerning how they will be rushed through exams upon resumption. Am I correct, ma'am?
No, we will not rush. I mean, when they resume, it depends on when school starts. It's difficult for me to say this is what we are going to do. If it's just 2 weeks, if it's a month, which we are all hoping, and they come back because normally they would have gone on holiday on around the 7th. Yeah. So if they resume in school, say around the 15th, 16th, well, we can give them a few days and then test them. But if it's much longer than that, I think we will know what to do.
We have to wrap up with you, but I need to just be sure that I'm clear on what your government is doing. Number one, all the pupils will get a device with the parents. Is that correct?
Secondary school students.
Secondary school students will get a device. Now, when they get that device, there will be radio programs where they can engage their teachers. So, for example, you have a device now, you turn on the radio, and you can actually follow the lectures as your teacher is teaching.
Not necessarily. What we want them to do with the radio is they would have done work on their own. They'll have homework, and then they can call in and tell their teachers where they have challenges.
Right. So there'll be tutorials.
Tutorials, yes. So the teachers can take them through again.
So Lagos State government to let us know the radio stations that have spoken, giving you partners. You let us know which the radio stations you're going to be using. Are you going to be using TV stations too? Or
yes,
just radio?
It's TV. We want to use as many media as possible. We even plan to use YouTube and so on. But we know that the majority, that the mass market will actually, our target market will actually use the radio more than any other media.
So you let us know the radio station, the timing, so we can get our pupils to be there at that time to listen to the lectures, and then at the end of the week we have tutorials where they can then take tests and all that and ask questions.
And NEPA, please leave the light for us so that I can listen to the radio.
Okay, and then our secondary school pupils will be getting devices. I know you don't want to tell us the company's giving you this kind of partnership, but are you seeking to get more partners for this device, or just one company is going to be handling that for you?
Oh, no, we are trying to talk to as many partners as possible to please donate the devices, because, of course, you can imagine the cost implication and the number of students that we have. So the target market is broad. Anybody who wants to help us, we'd be willing to talk to.
There's a question on Twitter.
Yes,
can we
please.
take it? Yaro is asking, are there officers going around schools to ensure compliance of this lockdown?
Absolutely. The Quality Assurance Department, even yesterday and Saturday, were working and we're going around schools in Lagos State, and they've started again this morning. And I keep getting reports about, daily reports about their activities.
Right. Thank you very much, Ma, for coming on the show. Really appreciate you. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we'll be speaking to Honorable Abike Dabiri-Erewa concerning Nigerians living in the diaspora, how they're managing with this COVID-19 virus. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So as COVID-19 virus is fast spreading across the world, each government have been forced to take urgent measures by declaring a stay-at-home for all. Major companies, however, are asking their workers to work remotely as measure against the rapidly spreading disease. Now, we'll be speaking with the PRO, Niger Police, Mr. Frank Umba. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you and good morning.
Good to have you on. Now, we've heard various governments ask people to stay home, have kids stay at home, but compliance obviously is a major issue. Many people just seem to don't understand or be oblivious of what's at stake with this virus spreading. What are you doing as the enforcement agency of our country to ensure compliance across board? We saw some of your men going to churches over the weekend, but what else are you doing to ensure compliance across board?
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me. The truth really is that this is unusual times for us all. And for us as the lead law enforcement agency in Nigeria, the desire of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Mohammed Abubakar Adamu, is that Nigeria should voluntarily comply with these precautionary measures, the health tips being given out by the relevant health agencies, and also comply with the orders and directives of the governors of the respective states. As a matter of fact, when the governor of a state like Lagos State, for instance, issues an executive order, it is actually an order. It offers you no option. And that's why it's called an executive order. It is not called an executive advice. So it means that you must, as a matter of fact, comply with those directives. And when you fail to voluntarily comply with those directives, the police, in this case, the Nigeria Police Force, will be compelled to ensure that, to enforce compliance. Right. If you look at what happened in Lagos yesterday and some other states across the country, police officers moved from church to church, trying to make sure that the worshippers or the leaders of the church actually comply with those directives. We are actually impressed with the level of compliance in some states, but we also discovered some few other places where compliance was not at 100% level. And that explains why we had to come out yesterday to direct, the IGP had to come out yesterday to direct all commissioners of police and assistant inspectors general of police nationwide to henceforth ensure that those executive orders are strictly complied with.
My concern is that as an agency, you are one of those I group as the essentials. What are you doing exactly to protect your officers that have to come to work, that have to respond to calls like that, that have to, you know, in the line of duty? What are you doing to protect your officers in the line of duty against this?
Again, like I said at the beginning, this is strange times, and it is unprecedented. That means we don't have a record of this kind of scenario having occurred in Nigeria before, and so probably we need to just dig deep into our library and then look at how it was handled in the past. But again, we are being creative. We are thinking outside the box. We're also looking at what other law enforcement agencies are doing in some other parts of the world where we even have bigger problems. Like, what are the police agencies in Italy, in China, in California, in New York, in other parts of the world doing? And we're also thinking outside the box and coming up with ideas that can help us. First of all, yesterday in our statement, the IGP advised, number one, that Nigerians should avoid social visit to the police stations. You know, Nigerians are very wonderful people. You are at work in your office and you find your uncle coming around to say, oh, I just came around to say hi. I came to Abuja to renew my passport, and I just thought I should come and greet you. And then your nephew, your cousin, for those who are single, they are boyfriends and their girlfriends, and we are saying, for now, all social visits must stop.
All right.
And then
reading for... Okay, in the papers today also, the IGP, one of the statements that was attributed to him was that the police force should not carry out unnecessary arrest and detention. I don't know if you can shed more light on what would be unnecessary arrest or detention.
For us here, you know, even in crimes, there are crimes that are considered very serious offenses, like felony. Crimes that have got bearing with terrorism, for example, kidnappings, for example, homicide cases, for example, armed robbery, and the rest of them. These are very, very serious offenses. But there are also some other offenses that we classify as simple offenses or misdemeanors. These are offenses that you can actually deal and you do not really need to take the suspects into custody. These are offenses that probably do not have a direct bearing on the social immediate order of the society. We are saying in such cases, police officers must refrain from taking such suspects into custody.
Will traffic offenses be one of those?
I didn't get that.
I was saying, would traffic offenses be an example of that?
Certainly traffic offenses will be one of those offenses where we will not allow police officers to take suspects into custody. But remember, a fatal motor accident is also a traffic offense. And if there is a fatal motor accident where life or lives are lost, then you may have to use custodial remedy, because when we take people into custody when there are fatal motor accidents, there are a number of reasons.
Right.
We are still in that part of the world where sometimes there is an accident and some, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 persons die as a result of the accident, and then you find relatives of the deceased venting their anger on the driver or the operator of the vehicle. So sometimes we need to take such persons into protective custody and then deal with the situations.
Let me get one more tweet for you. Go ahead.
There's a tweet asking that how are you enforcing, how did you enforce the closure of churches and mosques over the weekend? So, those that failed to comply.
Okay,
there's a particular one that mentioned it, but I don't want to mention it.
Go ahead.
Remember that last Friday was the first time we were actually, last Friday was the first Jumat preceding the orders. And at the same time, yesterday was also the first Sunday immediately after those orders. Like every responsible and responsive law enforcement agency, we wanted to see how Nigerians will actually on their own comply with these directives. We went out more or less on observatory patrol. We spoke to the people, we engaged with them. If you watch the video recordings of DCP Diso, the commander of RRS yesterday, moving around, it was more or less, we were engaging our citizens. And this is in line with best practices, particularly in a country where the police, the police force is so desirous of implementing community policing across the different levels. So at the first instance, we try to engage our people. We try to educate them. We try to enlighten them and draw their attention to the consequences of them not voluntarily complying. We have done that in the first Jumat day and on the first Sunday.
All right, we have to let you go.
Subsequently.
Unfortunately, Mr. I have to let you go because I have a few more calls to make, but there's so many questions I wanted to ask you, especially for the fact that the police academy has been shut, primary and secondary schools. I wanted to know what you're doing, but unfortunately, I can't take that. We'll still bring you back to let us know what your plans are, especially for those people that have gone home. You've heard the Commissioner for Education of the Plans of Lagos State. We'd like to know what your plans are to make sure your pupils are still learning. But we have to go on a break now. When we come back, we'll take a few more calls. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back. Welcome back to Your View.
Thanks for staying with us. So we have Honorable Abike Dabiri Erewa on the phone to tell us about Nigerians living in diaspora, especially in the light of the high risk of this disease. Welcome to the show, Madam. She's the chairperson of Nigerian Diaspora Commission. Good morning, Madam. Are you there?
Good morning. How are you, ladies? Good morning.
Good to have you.
Good morning.
So, obviously, we have lots of Nigerians living in the UK, US, and even Italy. So far, what is your commission doing to monitor them, ensure that they're safe in the case they need tested, because they have issues of not being citizens, so they might not be listened to earlier than like the other citizens. So as a commission, what are you doing to ensure that our citizens are getting properly tested and they're being cared for during this period?
I think the key thing is information. And for a lot of them, wherever they are, getting information is not a problem. But there are two things here, which is basically letting them know what to do the major concern for most of them is, can't we come back to our country? And we told them, you can't come back to your country, but you have to self-quarantine. And with the airports being closed from, I think, tonight or tomorrow, it's important that anybody that wants to come should just come back. Because we also have to think of the implications for everyone, but Nigerians at home, Nigerians abroad. So basically, it's about information. So we've been communicating, and they even give us more information, actually. So the problem is not about not knowing what to do. It's more about, okay, we want to come home. Can't we come home? And you saw that the SGF addressed that. The SGF who is chairing the committee on coronavirus addressed that. You can come home, but self-quarantine yourself. Okay. And I hope that we'll be disciplined enough to know that indeed when you come back to Nigeria, isolate yourself for 14 days. And as we said, while we practice social distancing, let us learn to keep in touch with one another. This is a time to show love, care, concern. Call one another, stay in touch with one another. They are brothers and sisters keepers. This is not a time to discriminate and beat somebody up because you have an issue or the other. So actually it's a time to show love to one another.
Let me get a few more questions.
Good morning, ma'am. Our citizens in Wuhan had been trying desperately to get back home. Now that China is out of the woods with this virus, what are you doing to, to bring them or resettle them back home?
Our citizens in Wuhan were not trying. In fact, they are happy they stayed back. As you know, Wuhan is actually free. What we did for them, again, we have about less than 60 students in Wuhan, and we're in touch with all of them. They have an association. What they requested for was financial support, which President Buhari approved and gave them. And I'll tell you something about students in Wuhan. I'm so impressed with them. They did not lie. They did not try to capitalize on the situation. They told us China is taking good care of them, but they needed some financial support, and they asked for just $500 per person. And we calculated it at 60. They were a bit less than 60, and the money was sent to them directly through the mission. And they have a letter of gratitude addressed to the federal government of Nigeria, care of the Diaspora Commission. And I really want to say I commend our students in Wuhan. We had a diaspora organization, a factional arm of Nigerian Diaspora Organization, that issued a statement asking for money, saying that they were doing fundraising. They were liars. They just wanted to capitalize on the situation. But our students were wonderful. Okay. They did very well.
Let me get in a few questions for you.
Yeah. Yes, okay, so there were some stories of some universities closing and having their students go back home. And although no Nigerian story was reported, but like for some other countries, they found themselves stranded. I'm wondering, during this period, do you have conversations with students in different countries, and what sort of response that you're giving them if they are stranded in these places?
Yeah, well, we haven't received any direct reports as such, but when we get them, we'll deal with them as they come. But right now, only 2 cases we dealt with from Khartoum. They wanted to come back, they had their tickets, they were at the airport, and Sudan said no. But with intervention from our embassy and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Commission, they're on their way home. I think they got it yesterday. So that was sorted. Then we also had some people from Dubai who said, well, they told us, go to your country, we don't want you here. That is not confirmed, but Dubai denied that. So as we get them, we treat them. All right, but also tell them, it's not about going to the media, it's about contacting the commission so that we know exactly what the problem is.
Because we need...
The 2 we have received, we have dealt with them.
Some have actually complained that if they have to stay back in these countries, their visas they'll be overstaying their visas, and they're worried about what that would mean for them going forward. So can the commission at least, first of all, even have a database of all the Nigerians that are visiting or traveling in these countries, and what can you do to ensure that their visas, even though come back, be reactivated or even extended for them?
I said, listen, we need to be careful here. We treat each case as it comes. Those are mission issues. And I'm sure if you go anywhere in the world today, if you go to them and say, I was supposed to have left yesterday, I'm here because of Corona, everybody will understand. But don't let us use the situation to lie. Somebody called me yesterday, for instance, and said, I got a refugee status in the UK, and they took my son. And I said to him, you went to the UK to apply for asylum. Why are you calling me? You must have gone to the UK to lie that your country is bad. You're not calling me that they took your son. There's nothing I can do about that. So let's be careful here. Like I said, and students in Wuhan are a very good example. Do not just use the situation to tell lies or to pretend that with something is wrong. If you go with your visa, maybe you're supposed to stay for a few months, you extended during the period of coronavirus, I'm sure they will understand. But again, I appeal to Nigerians, don't use it as a situation to lie when you shouldn't, because they will decipher the truth anyway.
Well, I must commend you for this. I would like to know whether you're doing more to, to sensitize Nigerians that, are trying to take advantage of, or who have been in the habits of taking advantage of, certain hardship back home to seek asylum, that these are hard times.
Exactly. Like I told you of the guy who called me yesterday, of course I told him more. Imagine that kind of guy comes to you and say...
Are you sharing that story more often now?
Well, as we get done, we deal with them. Imagine that guy coming out now and say, oh, they didn't treat me well. You can't go and lie about your country. Then you're coming back to your country to help you out. You lied that you were gay, and they took your son. If you are gay, where did you get this child? They took your 4-year-old child. You're coming back now to now say, help you. How can I help you? So we need to, as I said, we treat each case as it comes. And as it comes, we deal with them. So, I also appeal to you, if you have any cases, just reach out directly and we'll handle them.
We have to let you go, but I need to ask this final. The Nigerians right now, they're scared. Many of them are in Italy, in the UK, US. They want to just come home. And they only have, I think, today and tomorrow.
I'll give you an information again now. If you are in any country you're standing, go ahead and apply for extension of status based on the coronavirus. Don't stay back and say, and after that, if you are stranded now, and I'm telling them through your program now, go ahead to any mission there, apply for extension of your stay. You will be granted now. But don't wait for 5 months when it's over, and then go and apply. So please go there now. Any embassy, go and apply for US for your status extension.
All right.
Whatever.
I have to let you go, but let me just get
of any country you are in and apply, and they will listen to you. Thank you very much.
One more, please. Please, just your perspective from what you've seen being around the world and in Nigeria. What would you say we're doing better? We need to do better compared to what you see around the world.
I would say information. Let us listen to rules. I heard you this morning. We are talking. We are saying the president is not talking. Is that the problem? Look at America now. Americans are saying their president is talking too much and that he should keep quiet. There are 3 departments. There's the Ministry of Health under the minister. There's the SGF handling that issue. There's the vice president handling that issue. If all 3 feel it's time for the president to talk, they will. Okay, look at Lagos. Governor Sawulu gave an instruction, avoid gatherings. I was shocked that some churches still held their services yesterday. You should obey rules and regulations, and there must be sanctions. If you not obey those rules, you must be sanctioned. Right. So you see, let's deal with the real issues. Right, you have a president who is saying that let us build institutions.
Let's not even go to the presidency. Okay. Thank you very much, Honorable Advocate. Let's not take you up on the presidency because, that's a whole different kind of one. We thank you.
I agree with you, but that is my view.
That's your
your view.
So thank you for telling us your own area. But our president is talking about COVID-19, and that in itself it sends a message that doesn't even understand what is going on. That's a whole other topic for another day, and we'll discuss it because you're saying some presidents are talking too much, Trump is talking too much. Yes, but there are leaders, there are mayors in America talking, there are governors in America talking. Our own governor is talking. Yes, we see him. But the point is that sometimes in this kind of I know hope is not a strategy, we know that, but we need somebody to speak to us and tell us what you're doing because we are having issues of nebulizers, test kits. Do we have enough? Does the NCDC have enough? Lagos State, we know. Other states, do they have? So let us leave the presidency one month because let's not even go there. I think we run out of time. That's all we can take. We'll have a fabulous day. We'll see you tomorrow.